What are our intuitive superpowers as six sensories when we're engaged in relationships with five sensories? As six sensories, we have specific superpowers that we're not even aware of, but we can employ to build beautiful, meaningful relationships with five sensories. And the first feminine superpower that you probably heard about but didn't realize it was a feminine trait that works powerfully for you as a sixth sensory is gratitude. Now, we've all heard about gratitude being an amazing quality in life, to be grateful that you have a roof over your head or food to eat or job or whatever it is you have to be grateful for. Having said that, what people don't understand about gratitude is that it's incredibly effective in relationships, especially when you're a sixth sensory relating to a five sensory. Gratitude is so powerful. You say thank you when the five sensory provides. So one of the ways that we can take a back seat and allow the five sensory to give to us first and initiate to us first, the way we show appreciation, it could be a contribution, but saying thank you actually goes a long way, even further sometimes than contributing, because we're meeting the needs of the five sensory. We're saying, you're such a good strategist. You're such a good logical person. You are protecting me. You're taking good care of me as a sixth sensory. You're making sure that I'm not being taken advantage of, that my needs are cared for. This is an awesome, awesome quality that a sixth sensory can use in their relationships with five sensories. Say thank you for even the littlest thing. And five sensories will eat it up. They will love it because they're very aware of their giving. They are using it partially as a strategy to get to you, but it's also something that they sometimes choose not to do when they're engaging in their relationship. So if you say thank you for whatever they do for you, they're going to be grateful, they're going to be happy, and the positive vibes are going to come back to you. Now, the next feminine quality that six sensory has, that five sensories love, is actually the opposite of what you might think. So I'm going to say it's the ability to stand up for yourself. And you might think, isn't that a masculine quality? Shouldn't we be more submissive as six sensories? And yes, it is our nature to be submissive. And when five sensories are behaving positively, absolutely you can be submissive. You can say thank you and I love that, and you can go into full-on receiving mode and just really enjoy that attention and kindness that five sensories give to you. However, once things turn like negative or toxic, you have to be able to switch gears from being grateful and being submissive and, receiving. You have to be able to flip to standing up for yourself. And it's kind of a tricky discipline to cultivate because we kind of get stuck in one mode or another. We get used to like being able to stand up for ourselves, but talk, which will scare the five sensory. They don't like a lot of talking. However, we can also be too quiet and receive everything and be grateful and enjoy the treatment, and then we don't stand up for ourselves when the five sensory kind of picks on us. So just because a five sensory picks on us, by the way, I've talked about narcissism before in another video, it actually doesn't necessarily mean that they're a narcissist. You might be like confused by that. You'd be like, what? Like they teased me. And it's like teasing is different than a full-on attack of your character. If a guy's full-on attacking your character and full-on criticizing your morality or something like that, that's a bit different than he's like, oh, you were a bit late today, haha, or oh, I'm gonna flirt with the waitress now, haha. When five sensories do these sorts of tactics, they're trying to see if they'll get you mad, but it's not really a full-on attack. Because if it's a full-on attack, they would do something nasty in secret, they would say something more outright that's nasty to you. But they try these subtle little jabs because they want to see what your self-esteem and your self-confidence level is like. Are you always going to be submissive? Are you always going to be receiving and yes, I'm grateful, thank you? Or are you going to be like, hey, I'm going to banter right back to you? How do you banter back with them? Well, you have to pay attention to them. So as you get to know them, register in your mind their positives and their negatives. Each human is a human. They have negatives to them, no matter how attractive or rich or whatever they say they are. There are always flaws, right? I've seen this with certain people who are extremely attractive or extremely wealthy, they have their problems. So you register that in your mind and don't use it to attack them or belittle them or something. But you might form a few jokes in your mind in advance that if they ever come to you and kind of tease you about something, then you've got a joke back. Not too cutting, not too deep, just something very silly. Like if a five sensory is not too well read on a specific topic, you could tease them about it as a sixth sensory if you think they should know about it, right? It's like, oh, you don't know about X, Y, and Z. How could you not know about X, Y, and Z? Are you living under a rock? You could say something like that. It's just something a little bit silly. Don't cut too deep. Don't say anything horrible to them. But just something funny that if they come barb at you, you can barb back. It's a little bit of a tricky skill to develop because sometimes we're kind of slow and we don't even notice the barb coming. It's like it's already past our forehead and we're like, oh, I was in my fantasy candy land in my head and I didn't even notice. Happens sometimes. Just be prepared next time. Have it in your mind like how you can tease them and pay attention to people and allow that to register. And so also when you're on dates or getting to know people, you have to be really focused, moment to moment to moment. Pay very close attention to detail and remember it. The reason why you want to remember all these details about people is because it comes very handy later if they decide to behave in sort of a teasing, nasty way. You've got something to say back to them that is going to allow you to stand up for yourself. Then the next quality you want to have as a feminine superpower is you don't want to over-explain anything that you do. Like if a five sensory is critical of your spirituality, don't explain it to them. If they're criticizing your hobbies, you're saying you're spending too much money or whatever it is they're criticizing, don't tell them about your hobbies. Don't explain it to them. Find ways of doing it independently. Don't talk to them about things that they are inherently negative about or critical of, because you're just not going to get anywhere. It's like sometimes we have this thought in our minds, like if we just explain a certain way as a sixth sensory, then the five sensory is finally going to get it. And it's like a big myth. Five sensories, if they're going to be critical of something, they're never going to get it from your perspective as a sixth sensory. So don't even bother trying. If they're teasing you about it lightheartedly, then you can tease back. If they're being mean and full on attacking, then that's a bit different. You may have to deal with it differently by setting a boundary. Maybe you don't break up with them right away, but you walk away, you do something to set the boundary to say that this kind of discussion is not okay. Or sometimes they may see a barb and you might just say, ouch, because they're not even aware of how negative their behavior is. And that's something that will register for them, like, hey, you're being kind of unreasonable, you know? But sometimes it's not strong enough either. It depends on the five sensory. And if they're coming across too strong, too negative, then you can't really have a really meaningful relationship with them if it gets to a degree that it's too much. But if they're teasing and there's like minor levels, it's for a laugh, it's different, you know, and you can not take it too seriously, because taking little things too seriously is also a red flag. So you gotta be a little bit careful about negativity. How bad is bad? Only you can say what is bad for yourself and what you're willing to tolerate, what you're willing to joke about, and what will make you walk away from a relationship.